There we go. Hey everybody, this is Sensei Anthony coming to you with another episode of the Karate Chronicles. Today is Friday, January 29th, I hope.
Yeah, you're right.
2020. Okay, there you go.
29.
Sometimes I don't know. Legacy Edition. I'm here with my pop, Sensei Bobby Thomas, and I'm just going to throw the topic out there today, pop.
Okay.
I used to be super skeptical about wide stances, like you see traditionally in like Shotokan or
Mm-hmm.
Shitoryu.
Mm-hmm.
But when I look at martial artists who employ more boxing style footwork,
Mm-hmm.
they do have success, but I think that these are people that are more athletically inclined or more athletically gifted. Let me
Mm-hmm.
show you what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Lyoto Machida,
Okay.
outstanding Shotokan stylist. Traditional wide stance, doesn't do a lot of head movement, but his understanding of distance is good because he's got that horse stance and he can throw with real power.
Mm-hmm.
Anderson Silva, particularly long reach,
Mm-hmm.
excellent footwork, excellent head movement. But I think he falls on the outlier end of athleticism. So I think if you had to teach a whole group of people martial arts, you'd be more inclined, or I think it'd be more useful if you taught them with the wider, more traditional stance as opposed to a boxing stance, which I think requires more athleticism to employ. What do you think?
I think, in my view, whether you use a boxing stance or a wide stance, all depends on the situation you're in. Because you want to, what did Muhammad Ali say? Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Right, right.
Okay, well, you can't do too much floating if your feet are five 5 feet away. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
5 feet apart. So you have to be versatile. Do you need to move, or are you just going to stand there and pug it out with somebody? So if you have a wide stance and you're trying to trade blows with somebody, you got to remember this: you don't know anything about that person. See, one person may say, "Oh, that's awfully wide stance." The other person may say, "Oh, foot sweep."
Right,
You see?
right, right.
So it's like having I always use this analogy. You have to have a toolbox full of stuff
Mm-hmm.
to do uh, uh, the right tool for the right job. So if for example, you need to step in and do a back fist, and then fade back and do a side kick. Well, it's kind of difficult to do that if your feet are wide apart, you know. But if your feet are closer together, like a boxer stance, then you have versatility in your movement. You can shuffle if you want to. You can fade back if you want to. You can spin if you want to, but you can't do that with your feet wide apart.
I
So,
I definitely get that part.
mm-hmm.
My thinking though was, if you took a sample group of 1,000 people,
Mm-hmm.
there are going to be some people that just aren't particularly physically extraordinary. And I don't mean like they're crazy athletic, but you
Mm-hmm.
talk about stuff like a reach. I mean, as much as people don't think about it,
Mm-hmm.
if you look at some of the top boxing champions, most
Yeah.
of them had a longer than average reach.
Right.
That's not something that they control. Maybe there are some
Right.
people that had the same skills, but they didn't have that extra 2 inches to be able to pull some of that stuff off.
Mm-hmm.
Muhammad Ali was 6'3", but had a slightly longer reach than somebody who's 6'3".
Yeah.
Anderson Silva, exceptional reach for his height. John
Mm-hmm.
Jones,
Mm-hmm.
guy's only 6'4", but has the reach of a 7 footer.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
if you took a bunch of people, would you try to train them to fight more like the Anderson Silvas of the world, or the Lyoto Machidas of the world, who I think, while not physically overwhelming, it's the result of hard training consistently. You don't have to. He's not particularly tall, particularly fast, particularly strong.
Mm-hmm.
He is those things through the training. But
Yeah.
I'm thinking, if you had an average group of people, I think it'd be difficult to try to teach them to fight like an Anderson Silva, because
Oh,
that
of course.
requires a
Of course.
different. It requires particular skill sets. Whereas,
Mm-hmm.
the other Machida, horse dances.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I think you could train more people to fight like him or closer to him
Mm-hmm.
than a fight like Anderson Silva. He's particularly quick. He has
Yeah.
particularly good timing,
Yeah.
and he's got that long reach.
Right.
So
Well, uh, like Coach told me, you have to make the art fit the person, not the person the art, not the person who maybe somebody says, oh, you should stand like this. No, how are you comfortable first of all?
Right.
You know,
Right.
now if you need to step to the side, let's say do a inward block and a ridge hand.
Uh huh.
Okay, will that work for you if you're 5'5"? You know,
Right. Right.
do you have to necessarily do that? Versus if you're a guy that's 6'2", 6'3", when you can step to the side and back fist and gone. You
Right.
see what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
So everything has to be catered to the person on an individual basis. I just do not believe you can get by that because if you're teaching someone, hey, self-defense, it has to be on their terms, the way they see it.
Right. From their
From their
perspective, for lack
perspective.
of a
Yeah,
better word.
from their perspective as far as their reach goes,
Right.
you know, as far as their weight versus their opponent goes, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
because it'd be nice to say he step to the side and do a roundhouse kick followed with a right cross, you know, but it'd be a little bit difficult, say if your feet are wide. And then again, depending on the situation, are you in a street fight or are you in a competition
Oh, I'm
on the
thinking
floor?
fight. I'm thinking fight.
Hmm.
And the reason I was
Well,
thinking
fight in the ring or on the street?
in the street, like
Oh,
self-defense.
okay, yeah,
And
yeah,
the
oh yeah.
reason I think about, the reason I'm making that distinction is
Hmm.
when people have range or particular agility, I think they're more likely to use a jab to set up something else.
Oh yeah.
Where if you're smaller, you're thinking, I gotta hit him
Get
real
in there. You
hard.
gotta get
Right.
in
You
there.
gotta, you have to finish them faster because your
Hmm.
options of evasion, your options of stick and move aren't quite
Right,
there.
and
So,
that's why you have to be, if you're not a particularly tall person or big person, you have to be very, very versatile in your attack and defense. I mean, some stuff that you wouldn't expect. I mean, somebody all of a sudden drop to the one knee and punch you in the thigh.
oh yeah.
you know.
What was that dude name? There's a Kill Christian side. His name is Andy Hugh.
Uh huh.
Was it him or was it Mikey Burnett? Either way, they would throw a spinning hook kick to the outside of the thigh.
Mm-hmm.
You can't leg
Mm-hmm.
check that.
No.
When you throw a
No.
roundhouse kick, they raise their leg
Mm-hmm.
and they catch it in the shin.
Mm-hmm.
No, that
No.
he
You.
was coming right into the middle of the thigh, and that dude was
Mm-hmm.
his thighs looked like this here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that the reason I was thinking about the stance thing, and I'm not saying go super wide like those Shoten you guys do, or Shito, or Shitoru, or even Shotokan sometimes. I don't mean
Mm-hmm.
necessarily going that wide,
Okay.
but recently I've been finding myself more inclined to encourage people that way because they'll start throwing with more power. I think that when you have a wider stance, I think if you can could get them to commit their legs and their hips,
Well, I think that you want to be able to generate power no matter how you're standing.
true.
And that all comes from the way you pivot your hips, where you pivot that foot, a whole 9 yards. You know, because if you're sitting here as close as we are here, okay, or say we're standing,
Okay.
and you can lean over and pow, you didn't have to move anything. you just
True.
you did your thing there. But when you're standing, it's a whole new different story. You can't put a lock on anything. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine a bowl of spaghetti. Where does it begin and where does it end? you know? you know what I mean? I think
That's
oh,
right.
there it is. you keep on pulling and keep on pulling.
Right.
Excuse me, you never get to the end of it.
Yeah.
So everything really has to be catered to the person on an individual basis, what they're capable of doing.
Right.
And we always think about when we're teaching men, but we got to consider women too. You see,
Mm-hmm.
she may not have the weight that this guy has or this other woman has.
Truth.
But what is her nature? You know, is it to grab somebody's hair or poke somebody in the eye?
Yeah.
Is it to scream or whatever the case may be? But whatever you do, it has to be weaponized. You have to
That's
weaponize it.
that's true.
You know.
What made me thinking about this also was I was thinking about one of the good things about the military is they're able to teach a large group of numerically average people, and they can get them to do certain skills
Mm-hmm.
in a reasonable amount of time. They
Mm-hmm.
can get you
Mm-hmm.
to do, all the stuff they teach you.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, if you had to teach 1,000 people, would you be more inclined to teach them more of a not traditional, but I was thinking like I was trying to think of a way that if I had to teach a bunch of people who are absolutely average in every way,
Mm-hmm.
would I try to teach them how to stick, move, bob? That takes more athleticism than most people have. Especially, look at the kids we teach.
Mm-hmm.
They're not
Mm-hmm.
like I was as a kid. I spent all my time running around and getting dirty, and
Mm-hmm.
as such,
Mm-hmm.
I was way more athletically inclined than they
Mm-hmm.
were.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
A lot more coordinated and all that.
hence, when you were teaching me the boxing stuff, I was,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, long armed, I was
Mm-hmm.
jabbing and doing all this kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas kids that don't have that familiarity with their own bodies, maybe that wouldn't work for them as well.
No, probably not. But what you have to do is you have to shape them. First of all, how to control their body.
well,
That's
you
that's
see,
that's the hardest thing to do.
well, you see how it's working with the
Yeah,
left foot. Left. You don't get your goofy. You get
yeah, And I just said, this is your left foot.
right.
Put your left foot back. He puts his right foot back. So, okay, so either he doesn't know his left from his right, or he's not listening. You see?
Yeah.
And so if he's not listening, means that he's not engaged. Now, that's a kid. Now, in
Mm-hmm.
the military, you are engaged in every second of your class or whatever you're doing because
Making sure that you are.
you have people in your face.
right.
You have people in your face, uh, uh, you okay, this is how you twist wire.
Right.
This
Tie
is how
your
you do
shoes.
this. You know, uh, so why you go in the barracks and okay, there's dust bunnies on the floor. They'll come in and yell at you because obviously you didn't do a good enough job cleaning that floor.
Right.
It's not about just cleaning the floor. Possibly you could left some materials laying around for the enemy to see that you were there.
Right.
So that's the point behind that, behind the military, and which I think is a good thing. Hey, get
Yeah.
this stuff done now.
Yeah.
And this is how you do it, and I shouldn't have to tell you 1,500 times how to do it.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So you have people with different thinking abilities, and then also too, coming into the military is very overwhelming. When you had, I mean, it's a new environment for you.
Right.
And you have people yelling at you. You can't do this. You can't do that. And you got to stand up straight. You can't put your hands in your pocket. And you don't
Right.
get caught picking your nose. Or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
You can't have candy in the barracks.
Right.
After so the martial arts is the same way. If you're talking about practical self-defense, that means you take all the traditional stuff and you put it in its place, because tradition has no place in the street.
Not like that. Yeah.
Not like that. Not like that.
Yeah.
So everything has to be catered, to my view, to the individual's
Right.
abilities.
Yeah. It's weird because when I was thinking about like what you were saying, if you have some tiny person or a lady or even a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and like it's like I tell the kids, sometimes trading punches is not in your best interest. And the
Right.
one thing I like about the traditional arts is that they have a focus on crossing that distance, getting
Mm-hmm.
in and getting out. Because maybe you just got to hit the guy once and run for it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Also, too, when you know you're in a fight, your back is against the wall, whatever the case may be, or what you're fighting for, you're gonna take it all the way you're gonna take it all the way. There comes a time when you may have to just grab a palm heel and throw a good punch in there, and punch, boom, 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 kick, 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 and get out of there.
right.
But what you're fighting for makes all the difference, and then you have skills to go along with that. I think that's a very, very dangerous combination. Someone is fighting to save their child or their parent or their spouse or
Whew.
something like that,
Yeah.
and they know how to kick or punch or both real well. They know how to throw and all this kind of stuff. You're asking for a very, very serious, serious hurt right there.
Right.
You know.
That's for sure.
That's serious hurt right there. So
Yeah.
so it all has to be catered to the individual. For example, you're opening up your car door, and here's someone approach you from your right. Well, can you do a side kick from there? Can you do a spinning back fist and hit that person? You know, are you aware of the mirror may somehow get in your way right
Yeah,
there?
yeah.
If you have the door partially open, can you open that door to put between you and your opponent? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Those kinds of things that you have to look at.
for sure. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because I was thinking about. It's funny. Some guy told he looked at one of the videos of the kids and he
Yeah.
goes, "That karate stuff. That's wrong." Okay, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Let people be stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at the ranges that people fight in
Yeah.
because they all have their balance. Like people love boxing. It's a
Mm-hmm.
waist up endeavor. We both love boxing. We're
Mm-hmm.
all about that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can get to a person's legs or get a hold of them, there's that. Muay Thai guys are respected for their toughness because they use elbows, knees, headbutts.
Sure. Sure.
But they have very much a stand and bang mentality. If you notice, they're not. Well, traditional Muay Thai, before it started getting blended with the Western boxing, they
Yeah.
didn't even punch that much. They threw elbows and,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, uh,
Well, that's good for the ring and all that kind of stuff. Stand and bang, not necessarily good all the time.
see, and that's my point. So
See.
I was looking at that. And I was looking at Kyokushin guys.
Mm-hmm.
Tough guys,
Mm-hmm.
skilled. But in their competitions, you can't punch the closed fist to the face. So they fight in a range where they can kick to the face and knee, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if they can elbow or not. I don't think they can elbow.
Yeah.
But you see them throwing these horrendous body punches and
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But because they don't have to worry about their face from punches, the range they fight in is different. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking, okay, that's good, but if somebody can punch you in the face, there's a problem there. Then I look at, I've been watching Karate Combat where these guys are clearly from Shotokan, Shorinuru,
Mm-hmm.
that WK, that weird kind of, not weird, that's not fair, that
Oh.
distance where they're kind of way out there and their hands are kind of low.
Uh-huh.
I'm thinking,
Mm,
don't like
well,
that either because
no,
they don't,
no.
they're so wide they don't combination punch as well as they could without exposing themselves.
Right.
But in a real self-defense situation, like I was saying, if it's not in a person's best interest to fight, maybe that's the best way to get in, get out, and and run for your life. Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
get in there,
Yeah.
bam, kick the dude in the nuts and run for
Oh,
it.
yeah. Of course. Why not? Why not? If you get in there with a good thrusting jab and a shot to the stomach and a hook to the head, or a roundhouse kick to the legs or the body or a knee. Yeah, it all has to be. So you can take all of those so-called different styles and all that kind of stuff, put them together, and teach that to your student who can master that, who can take that in,
hmm
and that fills up your toolbox. I can approach this way, I can approach that way.
Right. I mean,
I can do that.
that kind of versatility is definitely key.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, like, if I had to teach 100 people
Mm-hmm.
of absolutely average physical skills,
Mm-hmm.
would I teach them more along the boxing way, or would I teach them more along the traditional martial
I
arts
would
way
teach them more along
in terms of
I
stance?
would teach them more along the boxing way because you have versatility in movement. You know, somebody would be very, very, I think, very surprised if you say, "Oh, yeah, that guy, he knows how to punch." So he throws a back fist, and all of a sudden, he kicks you in the back of the head. Now, how surprising is that? you know,
True.
you see, or because you have to have your feet in a position to do that. You see, so if you do a back fist, you step in, do a heel hook, catch the guy in the jaw.
Oof.
That could be very surprising.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
or you do a back fist and you step in and you hook his leg and take him down to the ground. You know,
Also
you
problematic.
got to
for
have
him.
your feet in such a way where it can move. You still have balance no matter which way you move.
Right.
You know, but if your stance is a little wider, doesn't rotate so well. You see?
True.
So if you get them together, then you know.
And like I said, I wouldn't think to go full on super wide traditional stance, but
Mhm.
I think you'd have more options for your feet in
Yeah.
terms of being able to choose distance. Like if you have a straight up boxer stance,
Mhm.
throwing certain kicks in combination won't be as easy because you won't be generating power from the same distance. And if you're trying to stay away from someone even,
Well, don't do that kick.
Yeah,
You
that's
see,
true.
you do
Yeah, you choose your weapons.
you choose your weapons. You know, it is nothing more devastating than have somebody stomp on your foot and
Oh
then
God.
smack the heck out of you. You know, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, you showed the kids over there, been trying to step on my feet,
yeah.
step, step. I'm
You
trying to show
know,
them clench work, and I just feel like
yeah,
you could
yeah,
stomping on my feet, you little
yeah.
rat. I'm
You
like, you
know,
definitely learned that from
yeah.
dad. It's like, ah,
You know, a poke to the eye, and a shot to the stomach, and a knee to the face. That's versatility. You know, but it'd be difficult to do that with a wide stance. So when you're talking about self-defense, this is a serious deal here because your life is on the line. So you don't have time to say favor one thing over another. The situation will dictate what you do. If it calls for a wide stance, okay, get wide, okay, fine. You know, it's the person
right,
try to shoot on your legs, you step back, you get wide, boom, job
right,
done.
right.
Okay? So now you're standing there and the person all of a sudden surprises you, you're walking, okay? So you're
Yeah,
you're walking,
yeah,
okay? So now this person surprises you, hey, I got to step in here so I can do this Siyanagi. Boom. I
right.
can't do that with the wide stance,
True,
you know? So again, it's I know it sounds convoluted, but the situation will dictate what you do.
true. That's very true.
Hmm.
And I was kind of thinking, like I said, I was thinking if I had to teach a bunch of absolutely average people,
I would go to the boxing stance. Hmm. I
yeah.
would go to boxing stance.
See,
That's
and
what I would do.
by natural inclination, I'm always like, and I tell the kids all the time,
Hmm.
before you think about hitting them, make sure they don't hit you.
Exactly.
So I'm
Exactly.
definitely a fan of defense a million percent overall.
Hmm.
Because I told them, they throw 10 punches and you avoid all 10, you just won that
That's
fight because you
right.
haven't been hurt.
That's right. That's right. That is right.
Um,
That is right.
so there's definitely, I mean, there's definitely something to that.
Hmm.
Um, but like also thinking for like the slightly wider stance, I think you'd be more not necessarily. I think you defend takedowns better,
Oh yeah.
and I
Oh
think
yeah.
you can. There's definitely some stuff.
Okay. See now you said takedown. Okay. Now we have a wrestling situation. Okay. So you're gonna whatever wrestling you do, uh, judo, jiu-jitsu. Okay, you can do that because you need that movement. You know. But if someone just throws a punch at you, a wide stance, well, you want to get out of the way. You know, a wide stance, I don't think would help you very much.
Yeah,
You know.
and I've seen that a lot of people that use wide stances, they can lean back more because that
Right,
distance is.
right, right. But you got to remember, you don't have time to waste.
You don't know what the other person knows.
They don't know if they
So
know. And so as soon as it happens, boom, you're on them. You're on them.
right.
Done. You're done and over with before it begins. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Because you don't know if they know that this person could be, on drugs or alcohol or just plain just angry, just and you can't reason with them.
Right.
It's not that you want to hurt them, but they put you in that position.
Yeah.
See, they put you in a position to do that. You know, and if people are reasonable, stuff like that won't happen.
True.
You know,
That's very true. I just for some reason I've been thinking a lot about stances and how
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think I was kind of think of it. I was kind of thinking of it at the time in like absolutes. What would you teach if it had to be this all the time or this all of the time? And I know it's not that way, but I was
Right.
thinking,
Okay. Well, then I would go with the boxing stance. Hmm. Because you have maneuverability, you can move, stick and move.
you know, I
Boom,
think
boom,
in my
boom.
inclination I'm the same way. But then again, having seen how uncoordinated the masses are now,
Hmm.
I'm thinking, there's no way. I've tried to teach people how to bob and weave, and
Hmm.
I was appalled at how difficult. They were like, "Here's the rope.